Go ahead and start the recording. Now, I still strongly suggest, I mean, this is going to be in the end of July, so I strongly suggest for you guys all to have your agendas to be, schedule yourself to be in this action plan program, because it's just a different setting, being in a big, huge class, being right there with everybody. I tried to do it in person, but only Cindy and I think Liz just were going to be there. And so I figured it'd just be easier for all of us to kill 10 birds with one stone and do the one action plan all together. So let's go ahead and dive in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody for now. And then I'm going to, as if I ask you any questions or anything, I'll just unmute you. So just so we don't have any background noises. So did everybody, just by show of hands, did everybody download the action plan worksheet? Okay, so everybody has it with you, so you know, okay, what we're going through. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with the, I'm gonna actually share my screen so you guys can see we're all looking at the same thing. And we're gonna just go through this together. I'm gonna open this up a little bit more. And all right, so basically the objective is for us to really boil down and tighten up what your plan is for your business, understand what an action plan actually is. So this is something that you can learn to do even every single month of your business. And just, I want to be able to see you guys if you guys have any. Okay, here we go. I made it smaller so I can see you guys as well. So does everybody have, I see that Kara, you're in the car, but it doesn't look like you're driving. Do you have a pen and paper and everything? Oh, let me unmute you, sorry.
That I printed out at home.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I said, let me grab a piece of paper. I left the printout at home.
Okay,
I didn't realize we were gonna be gone this long, my bad.
Oh, that's okay. And again, this is something that I'm glad that, you know, if most of you guys are going to reunion anyways, this is just something to get you familiar with this type of, so you can be doing this action plan on your own and implementing it into your business every month. And then when you go to reunion, it'll be just a bigger, more elaborate workshop between everybody else to be able to hear from everybody else. And, you know, hopefully you'll be able to actually share and contribute on how it's working for your business. So, okay. All right. So, belief statement is one of the things we're going to be covering, which, and where your business is currently today. So I hope everybody knows what your title is currently, what it means as far as what your title is currently. If you don't, please this is not the time to be embarrassed. This is not the time to be shy. This is how we grow. So if you're like, I don't even know what my title is, and please be honest so we can figure out where you're at and then move you forward. If you know your title, but you don't know what that entails and what it means as far as a compensation plan for you, what that financial structure means for you as far as a benefit, as well as moving forward. So then we're going to be talking about the gap between where you are now opposed to what you're looking for as far as your next bigger step of a growth goal. Meaning you may want to be a superstar director, but we're trying to be more just realistic, which we're going to be talking on the SMART goals. Now, hopefully everybody has been in their performance tab and actually seen the SMART goal link where you could go in and watch the video, which we're actually going to do that today. We're going to take the time to do that. If you've watched it a million times, I'm sorry, but it's never, there's never too many times to reevaluate what these SMART goals mean and then put them into your business over and over again. I just celebrated 7 years, you guys, and I'm here to tell you that there's never a period in your business or in your life that you should stop reevaluating. And regrouping and just really stopping, seeing where you're at that moment in time, and seeing how you can get yourself to regroup, figure out where your goals are, and making them in a SMART goals, which we'll break down what that means. And then the action plan of how to get there. Okay. So that gap is basically, so say if you want to be, I pretty much want you to focus on where you want to be in the next year or by the end of the year. You're going to decide that, and each of you will share that with me. And we'll use one or two of you as an example to break that down, because we obviously can't break down each person, and we'll be here for about 3 hours if we did. So what we'll do is we'll take two of you as an example, and we will break down as far as where you are and the gap between where you'd like to be by the end of this year or this time next year, depending on what you are focusing on. Okay, so let's move on to the belief statement. So what we were talking about is your vision for the future of your Scentsy business, something you want to accomplish, something you believe you can accomplish, and uses active terms like I will and I can. So this is something that from this day forward, we're going to be programming our brains to use those words. So when you find yourself saying I can't, you're going to rewind it and stop yourself and use the word I can, and maybe just not yet. Or maybe like, oh, I'm going to try. Instead of saying I'm going to try, I'm going to say I will, and then be just more logical in your verbiage, because a lot of most people, I'm not going to lie, on a regular basis, especially in this business, really downgrade the power of verbiage and what you're putting out there verbally, and then it also trickles back into your mindset. If you're thinking, I hope I will become a director, then you're limiting yourself. You're actually physically putting up barriers around you to be able to move forward, because your mind literally responds to your thoughts, and especially the verbiage. If you're telling yourself, I may get there, I might get there, I hope I get there, you're also telling yourself subconsciously that there's an option to not get there. So when every single one of you, there's now 5 of you, there's 5 of you on here, but every one of you have a different journey. You're all in a different place. You may on paper have the same title, but you are all in a different place. You have different team members. You have different amount of team members. But the one thing that every single consultant has to understand, that you could be on paper doing and action-wise everything what has been proven to be successful in a Scentsy business. But we all have to remember in the end that we all have a different organization of people, meaning different personalities, different goals, different level of action, which differentiates the difference of our own production in our businesses individually. So I may be a superstar director, but there's 400 other superstar directors in the company, but every single one of us, just because we have that title, we all make a different amount. We all have different team member and group numbers. We have, everything is different because it is built of a different organization. And so when we understand that from the get-go, that is going to help you to not compare yourself to the next person, which is the biggest killjoy in this business, and which unfortunately the majority of consultants do, which stop them from moving forward and essentially getting to the point of quitting, because they feel like they're never where that other person is. They're never going to do or want to do what that other person is willing to do. Therefore, I'll never get to that position, which is so not the case. It's just you're going to get there at your own time, your own pace, and with different actions. Maybe the same actions, but within a different belief system or style, or whatever you say, if you will, whatever you want to say. Before we write down these specific things, I want to take this time right now, and we're going to watch the video of the SMART goals together. And then we're going to come back on. I'm going to unmute everybody. And with that, understanding of what a SMART goal is, we're going to talk about something you want to accomplish, something you believe you can accomplish, and then how you can use the words I will and I can in those goals. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Oh gosh, my computer keeps asking me to do this. I don't know why, and it hasn't been. Me and Liz have a ongoing joke about technology with me. And she's laughing. Okay. All right. So I hope you saw that I kind of scurried through my workstation real fast because I'm not allowed to like show personal this or that. So I just kind of got to it. But right when you click on performance at the very bottom, it says SMART goals, and there's a link to click on this, and that's how I got here. So you can go back on your own time again. Hopefully you do this, and you do this hopefully every month until you really grasp what setting a SMART goal is. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Okay, let me actually go back where I'm going to pause it so we can visually talk about each one. Personal path towards success. All right, so a SMART goal is specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's time bound. So specific is, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I want to be a superstar director. Okay, what does that mean to you? What does the superstar director, how is that definition in your mind of when you step yourself into that position? And I'm just using that as an example is because that's where the you know, most people are striving for their hopefully higher goal. But even if it's just a director, let's just say director, guys. Okay, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a director to you? Why? How is that going to benefit you? Be specific. Specific is a director, but then it's very important to define that for yourself individually. If you have no idea, but you're saying I want to be a director, it's so important to take that right now and say, okay, I really don't know what that means. So now it's time to educate myself on that definition and what that does mean, and you know, do your research, because you may not necessarily get once you understand what that means, and to you it may not be that. You may just decide that, okay, that's not where I want to stop, that's not my ultimate goal, or that's not my goal for just the end of this year, I want to be further than that, or that's not logical or relevant right now. So, and that's how we're gonna go ahead. So, but right at the top of your head, I'd like anybody raise their hands that you know where you, like, what your goal is for your action plan. As let's just say the end of this year, guys. Let's not wait until this time next year. Let's say the end of this year. We just started a new catalog last month. We still have so much left. We have the whole fall season ahead of us, which amazing things happen. So I would love to hear if any of you have a goal by the end of this year. Please raise your hand if you'd like to share. Okay. Does anybody oh, okay, Liz, thank you.
I'll share. I'll put myself. Did you unmute me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I would say for myself, because for those of you who know me, I've hit director twice. So obviously my goal is to hit director the third time and maintain my status. So that would definitely be a goal of mine.
That's a great one too. Yeah. And you know, one thing I'm going to just elaborate on that. I'm not sure if everybody understands this, but when you hit a title, we have to maintain that title and the qualifications every single month in order to benefit from that title. So that is definitely a great goal, to be able to finally to maintain the title and the numbers that involved, and you know what's happening and the requirements. So requirements, as far as I'd love for everybody to one thing that if this is going to be a business to you that you're achieving great things in and you're growing your business, I definitely suggest that anytime a new starter guide comes out, you do obtain it for yourself on a hard copy level. I know that it is downloadable, but this is something that you can just use. I've always referred to this as your Scentsy Bible. I know that this is supposed to be for your beginning of your business, but I will tell you that if you are growing your business, you are going to have new consultants on your team regularly, and you need to know what their Bible is to them and what's going on in it. And then in this situation, you have just easy access, which I'm very well aware there's a catalog, a compensation plan in the catalog, but it's just a bigger view that you can actually, just take a look at. So every single title has different requirements, but they all have 3 up until you get to the level of director. So you have to place at least a minimum of $500 in your getting into a lead position to be paid off your downline. So that's when you're starting to make a downline. I call it a sponsoring bonus, and when your business is actually growing. Your team has to hit a level of wholesale volume, team wholesale volume, depending on what title you're at, as well as a certain number has to be active on your team of frontline. So that's so important for you to understand. It's your frontline has to be active, a certain number, and you can go up depending on what title you're looking to go to in order to make title each month. And then as you get into the director level, you have to, where am I at? This is the way they made this is different. You have to maintain a team wholesale volume as well as a group wholesale volume. And that's only if you have a director underneath you. If you're just a director at this time or at one point and no directors underneath you, your team and your group wholesale volume are actually going to be the same number, so which would have to be 10,000. So we won't get into depth with that at this moment, but I just want everybody to understand that, your goal of getting to star or superstar or director, yes, it's a huge accomplishment to get there in the first place, but the bigger goal should be to maintain that. And how is that going to happen? So that's why Liz has that goal, because she's done it plenty of times. Now her goal is to, okay, let's make sure this sticks and continues to grow, which is obviously an amazing goal. Okay, so measurable. Is it measurable? How can you measure your progress? Let me see what they talk about. We're gonna get to that part really fast because I want to say really fast, specific. Why is it important? Again, I didn't say that, but hopefully you guys understand. It has to be, why is it important to you to get to that goal? And write that down. So if we don't know what's working and we don't know what's not working, it's going to be very hard to continue to do those things that are giving you progress in order to continue to grow, and then also to be able to eliminate the things that are a waste of your time, that are not time, maximizing on your time, as well as money making activities. So these goals should be able to track them. I personally just posted a spreadsheet on tracking, just like if you mail out samples, to be able to track, I'm sending, Susan Smith, 5 samples, 1 a month, and I haven't gotten an order from her at all, that's obviously investing in this person that's not looking to invest in you. So at what point are you going to call Susan Smith and say, hey, have you found another consultant? Are you not interested in receiving these samples anymore? And so you can move forward and start investing in somebody else. So that's a measuring tool that you guys can use. And it's the same thing with your, when you're building a team as far as coaching. Let's use this as an example. I want to start having more one-on-ones with my team. That could be one of your goals, is in order to achieve the, whatever goal you have at the end of the year. Because obviously the more you coach your team, the more they're going to grow, the more you're going to grow, right? So that's part of the equation of you getting to that specific goal. Now, that specific action has to be measurable as well. Is how are you going to measure that if these coachings are working? As far as how much time you're putting into this person, what the time that you put into them, how much action has actually been put into play since you've had that coaching. Because your time, if you're just putting a bunch of time into somebody and they're not doing anything this way and they're definitely not growing that way, all you're doing is basically holding up your ability to move forward with somebody else that's willing to move forward themselves. So those are measurable actions that you could be, measuring, if you will. So that's one of the goals that you want to think about is what actions are you doing that you can actually measure. Really fast, any questions so far? Okay. Okay, achievable. So we started to talk about this a little bit. You don't want to make a goal that's too difficult. So if you say, like today, say if you're a lead consultant today, for you to say I want to be a superstar director by the end of the year is not achievable. I'll tell you that right now. It would. I never like to say never, and but it's definitely a goal that would take pretty much an act of God, I'm going to say, which God's pretty amazing, but, and can do pretty much whatever he wants to do for us, but we want to be realistic for ourselves, right? We want to challenge ourselves, but also, it says equip yourself with tools to meet the goal. So if you are saying, I want to be a superstar director, you have to think about part of that gap is, do I have people in line to become directors? Do I have enough team to create team volume in order to hit 80,000 in wholesale? If you're a lead consultant, it's definitely going to be a very firm not at all because you don't even have your 3 frontline consultants that are strong just to keep you active to become at least a superstar consultant. So those are all things that we really want to put into play as far as what is actually achievable. Okay, so relevance of this goal. Does it matter? Now, that is going to be on a personal level as well as a business level. So if this goal is something that, obviously everybody's goal is personal, right? And we're trying to figure out why you want to get there and what's that goal for? How is it going to affect you and your life and your business moving forward, your finances, whatever that is? We have to really understand, why am I achieving this? Why am I looking for this goal to be achieved? Is it the right time? Again, we can also move that back to the achievable is, in one aspect is it the right time for me to be making this goal? Should I be looking to go to star consultant and a solid star consultant before I'm looking to become a director? And what would that look like? And what would I need to do? So when we really think about that, it kind of forces us to eat that elephant one bite at a time instead of wanting to eat the elephant all at once, right? And will it drive you forward? So if you're setting a goal that's going to only scare you to the point that you're not going to even want to make the first step, then that's obviously not a relevant goal, right? We want something that's going to excite you, that's going to make you feel confident that you can actually achieve it. But how does that happen? It happens by understanding what has to happen, how it's going to happen, and if you're willing to do the work. And if you're willing and you just need assistance on different ways, how are you going to achieve that assistance and those actions to move forward to work into your personal lifestyle? Because all of us work our Scentsy business around our personal lives, right? Even if you have a full-time job working for somebody else, you still work around your personal life. Because, if you're not willing to go to work at night, you're not going to get a job at night, right? So you get a job that's for the most part accommodating your personal life. For the most part, like I said. And then time bound. The reason why I'm asking you guys to say, let's see what you could do by the end of this year, is because when we know that there's something that's like a deadline, that old saying, the fat lady sings or whatever, it pushes us, it makes us more compelled to take those actions, because every day we're getting closer to that. It makes us say, oh my gosh, I need to be taking action to be getting closer to that goal. If we're just like, I'd like to be a director one day, well, that one day is going to happen, maybe, but the one day gives you flexibility and leeway to not do anything anytime soon. So that's where that clear date of where you want to be is so important. So that's why I said some of you are going to say by the end of the year, but some of you are going to say, you know what, I'm not that. Maybe you're not that in a rush to get to that specific goal. You'd like to get there, but by the end of the year, you're not compelled to make that date. So at least by this time next year, you would want to have some type of a progress, because when you think about it, even sitting here on this call is a waste of your time, because you're receiving all this information in this direction and tools, but if you're not going to be putting it into play of when it's going to actually work for you, it's a waste of your time. So each and every one of you should really think about, when do I need this to be, to happen? If it's a financial thing, which I think financial has a portion of everybody's goals in this business. When would I need this to be happening? Let's say, for instance, for me, interesting enough, it just happened this way, but my unemployment ended on the end of March in 2011, and that was $1,100 a month that was just ended and exhausted. And it just happened that I started Scentsy on April 3rd. So I started making money on, the second I started, I knew I needed income by that next possible paycheck. Like, I don't have an option to not have money coming in by next month, because this month we're already broke and can't even afford milk. So I can't let myself say, oh, it'd be nice to be making money by my paycheck in May. For me, my deadline was I have to have income being paid to me by May, because I cannot not have that income. So it may not be as detrimental to you guys at this point, but I want you to really think about that. If you're looking to take on another car payment, let's say by December, what is the car payment? And how much is it? When is it going to be consistent that you have to be, when the car payment's going to start? And so what does that picture look like in order for me to be making $400 a month, let's just say? So those are things we really want to really figure out. Why do I want this goal? If it is a title that you're initially looking at, what will director or superstar consultant or whatever, will it actually give me the result that I'm looking for to fill that need, if that makes sense? Does that come through clear to everybody? Does anybody have any questions? Or does that make sense? Yes, no. Okay. Thanks, guys. All right. And then that's it. Okay, that's it. That's our SMART goals. So let me figure out how to get this. And let's see here. I'm trying to figure out how to make this big again. Hold on a second. Oh, goodness. This isn't good. How did I get it that way? Can you guys see my screen still? Thumbs up? Yes? Okay. All right, so let's take this time. Again, I'm going to ask one more time before we move forward. Does anybody have any questions? And again, this is not the time to be shamed, to be embarrassed, to feel, you know, like silly that you don't understand. We're all here for each other. We're all here to learn and to move forward. If we're questioning our understanding, we're not going to move forward, right? So please be vulnerable and say, you know what, Jess, that just like, woo, didn't make sense to me at all. Or, you know, I really do have a question on this area. Like, you may want to make your relevant goal and you have no way, you don't understand how to do it. So you could share with us what your goal is, and then we can work with it together and use it as an example for the whole group. So does anybody have any questions or anything you want to discuss? Okay, thank you, Monique. Okay, go ahead, you're unmuted.
Now, okay, so my understanding is when you hit a title, I didn't know you could actually have the title taken from you then, because I've been a lead and I haven't made like the 500, but I've never lost like the lead is just because I'm a lead and not a director. You could actually lose the title of director and get promoted down?
Okay, good question. Yes, so director is the only title you can lose. Before that, you are your title will say the same, but your rank is only what you're actually being paid at as far as what you qualified for that month. Once you hit star and superstar, your title doesn't get taken away, but unless you are not making you at least director numbers. Now that I don't want to get over your head yet until we get closer to director, like if you're getting closer to star director, but just to say it out there, is it the only time you can actually lose a star director or above is if you're not even making director numbers anymore. But for the main purpose is that until you hit director, you always keep your title. It's just you make rank every month, meaning whatever you qualified for. So if you're not putting 500 in as a lead, your rank would be basically a certified. You're being paid as a certified consultant, even though your title is lead.
Okay.
Yes, so that's a really good question that I'm sure a lot of people don't understand and question themselves. So as far as a director, because you're in the position that you're leading people and you're being paid as a director, that those qualifications have to be kept up. And it's basically, now, for instance, I'm going to say right off the bat, because Liz is in our group right now, there are situations that even as a director that are just not in your control. You could be doing your part. She always puts her 500 in. She's always leading her team. She's doing what she needs to. She's sponsoring people. She's trying to grow her team. But there's a point in your business that it's not in your control. You can't control what your team is doing or not doing. But that's why they give them a 6-month pretty much leeway to get your numbers up. But after 6 months, you lose your title. So you go from director. If you don't make your title in 3 months, you stay as a director title. Then you go down to director Q, which means like you're basically kind of in like, I don't know how to explain it, like in
probation.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm like, probation for 3 months. So then a total of 6 months. But while you're in that probation, we'll say, as a director Q, your team rolls up to your director, meaning because a lot of consultants, and again, I can say this because Liz is in this category, but a lot of directors, they get to the point of they don't want to lead their team sometimes. And so it gives them that time to say, is this what I want Do I want to, you know, be leading a team and have the responsibility? Because when you hit director, you're basically stepping over the threshold of you have a career now, and there are responsibilities in order to be paid that way, because you're being paid, not everybody, but a good portion, if you're running your business correctly, that's when you transition your business into an actual income. And so obviously no company is going to commit to pay you with an income, a consistent income, if you're not doing your specific part. So then after that 3 months, if the 10,000 wholesale isn't happening, you're not putting your 500 in, and you don't have those three, and those three qualifications aren't lining up, they bump you back down to superstar consultants. So on the other hand, it's also to give you the opportunity, because you may not have the team size yet to maintain. So it's not because the director isn't doing what they need to do. It's because their team isn't, I'll say it's pretty much they promoted a director prematurely to maintain. And that's what happened with Liz. She's just a rock star from the second she started. And so when she got to directorship, it was a fall month. It was a big month, and volume was everywhere, but the team size wasn't big enough to maintain on a regular season, like a slower spring season. So it gives them time to kind of continue to build and then get and focus on their personal team, and then they have that chance to promote back to director. So when they get back there, they're able to be more of a sustaining level, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I know that some of it's a little bit over your guys' heads. You might be like, Jess, you lost me. That's okay. I just wanted to make sure, because some of you are at the place that you understand that. And then, so basically, you keep your title until you become a director, and that's pretty much the only title that you would likely or possibly lose for a time being until you get to that point again. Okay, anybody else before we move forward? Okay, so let's take 5 minutes to write specifically down. Some of you may have already done it, but now that we know what a SMART goal is, I want you to use those specific, I'll put it back up on the screen so you can look at those and write down your SMART goals so you have a vision of where you would like to go, and then we'll just have one or two of you guys share. Let me put it back up on the screen, and then I will start the time. I'll start the 5 minutes, just so you guys just have a full, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer. And go. Okay, we have 2 more minutes. And don't stress if you're nowhere near, just get as far as you can, and then obviously we can go from there. About 30 more seconds, and then we'll see who wants to share. Okay. All right, so who would like to share your SMART goal, your goal, and how you broke it down with your SMART goal? Cindy? Okay, yay. Okay, go ahead.
So, let's see. Being specific. Sorry, let me close my door. The dogs are
Doggies.
Sorry, Ralph just got home.
Oh.
A sound star director, or excuse me, a sound star consultant.
Okay.
It's important to me because that's a first step and the next step, I guess, in actually making Scentsy more of a career.
Okay.
So do this after Wyndham. Measurable, what's going to be measurable about it is I can start tracking, like you suggested, tracking my follow-up better, and also coaching. Ruby and I talked last week actually about starting to do bi-weekly or monthly just meetings. And now that I know how to share screen on Zoom, we'll do it that way.
Yay!
Relevant, I'm going to make smaller goals, and then I'm very not strategic. I'm very I like to I'll make a list, and I like just the fact that just I can just cross it off. So I'll make smaller goals and achieve them one at a time, so I can mark them off my list one at a time. I'm very structured, so that's how I do that.
That's great.
And holding it time bound, just like I said, being a solid consultant, star consultant by December.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's all sounds very achievable. That's fantastic. And you know, and the beauty of this business is that with this very achievable goal, it's even possible for you to get to superstar consultant or even further. But the beauty is that with focusing on being a solid star consultant, it's you may achieve higher, but at least you know that you're solid with that one level, because we always want to be solid somewhere, because the only way we can move is to move forward when we're solid. Like you could be saying, you know, the least I'm going to be paid as a star consultant every month, even though I have the opportunity because I have the title as a superstar or a director or whatever. And so as a star consultant, you could also do that same thing as a, you know, a new star consultant. I have that solid lead consultant paycheck, you know, that I can rely on. And that's what we want, you know, everybody to have, is be able to say, when somebody says, how much do you make with Scentsy? Obviously I have to say it, and you would have to say, you know, there is a disclaimer that it's, you know, every situation is different and not typical, but you could say I average every month, you know, on minimum this amount. And so what I do, because this is my sole income, I can say that, you know, what I do is all my months in, you know, in 12 months, I can average it out, but then I also basically rely on May, June, and July's paycheck, which are always the lowest. And then I just average that out. And then I can say that, you know what, if I'm going to commit to any type of an income with Scentsy, that I won't commit to anything I'm not going to be able to pay, or whatever the word is, follow through with as financially with at least my smallest paycheck that I know, worst case scenario, I'm going to make, if that makes sense. And then everything else is just gravy. So that is the bigger goal with this business. And every year, if you are looking at your business that way, and every month, the cool thing about this business is you literally have the ability to grow your income every single month, year to year. And I could do that. I could literally look at my paycheck now and say, this time last year I made X, and then see the growth happening. You know, some months stay the same, you know, but the cool thing is with my organization, by doing these type of structural plans every month, I've been able to sustain and know exactly what I'm going to be making that month to date, or I see the growth in it, and there's an actual extra income on top of what what I rely on every month, if that makes sense. Like Scentsy to most people is extra income, period. But I'm at the point in my business that it's my career, it's my income. So when I make extra, that's my extra income. So because everything else is committed to some type of a finance. Okay. Does anybody else want to share? Nobody wants to share. Okay. So moving forward, does everybody, at least if you don't want to share, can you at least raise your hands and say that the goal that you wrote down, is it something you believe can happen? Or are you still in the maybe stage? So Cindy believes. Anybody else? Okay, great. Monique. Kira? Thumbs up? Yes, no?
What's that?
Oh, the goal
I
that
can
you
share.
Oh, good. Yay. Go ahead.
I made 2 of them. Okay, so by Christmas, pretty much the same as Cindy, correct, Miss Cindy?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to be a solid star by Christmas. And then my second one is that I want to be lead by the end of May. Now I feel like I kind of have that one in the bag already. So that's why I made the star consultant by Christmas. I'm very sweaty. I put that it's relevant because I need more money so my kids can go to daycare and I can get more things done.
Okay. Nice.
And then some ways to get there. I put share with more people that I don't know on a personal basis, because I have certain people that I don't know from outside of Scentsy, and I just finally started sharing with them, and I need to share with everyone that I just met through Scentsy.
So I have a question for you, because this has to do with the gap. You said that you're pretty sure that leads in the bag. Let's share with us why you feel that way.
Okay, so I signed 2 people whenever it was $49 to sign, and one of them completely had just lost interest, and one of them, she kind of has interest still. I'm trying to think of ways to help motivate her, because she seems motivated one minute and then she's not motivated the next. Yeah. But I have a party right now with a girl that I think is going to kill it.
Okay, and wants to join.
Yeah, she's
to turn it into hers.
joining with the party.
Okay. Awesome.
Right.
Very cool. So you feel that would be, she'll be close. She'll definitely be active.
Yeah.
If not,
Oh, yeah.
which will help you get to that $1,000 wholesale volume. You froze, honey.
Yep, she'll be. What? Oh, okay. You guys, I'm gonna have to go for a few minutes.
Okay.
But I will rewatch the rest of this. I guess we have a poopy baby situation. So I'm gonna go be a mom. But thanks for letting me share, and I'll watch the rest of y'all in a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Kira. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right. And so I'm sure you guys understood why I asked that, is because we want to make sure that everybody understands what needs to happen in order to make that qualification. So, because a lot of people just say, oh, I think I'm going to make lead, but I've literally had several people in this organization throughout the years tell me that that's their goal and they think it's going to happen, but they don't understand the qualifications. And so when they've done their part and their team hasn't, they're upset at the end of the month saying, why didn't I promote? And they didn't really truly understand what qualified. But Kira just explained that she understands that she's going to have that one person and that wholesale volume is going to be the 1,000. And then she does understand that it's 500 on her own personal retail volume. So, okay. So let's move on. And if everybody can just, I'm going to unmute you and just share where you're at in your business as far as your title right now. So I'm going to mute everybody. I'll just call your name out. And then we're going to go on who wants to share about who wants to be that guinea pig as far as finding the gap of where your goal is. So Monique, what is your title currently?
Lead
consultant. And then Liz?
Director. I mean, superstar consultant.
Great mindset, though. Yes. Okay. And then Cindy.
Consultant.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Lead consultant.
Okay. I know all this, guys. Don't think I don't. I just want everybody else to know. Okay. And then Monique, what is your goal? Okay, and tell me what your goal is, when your deadline is, because the idea is, ideally, since it's only April, we'd like to see a goal by the end of the year. But if you want your goal to be by this time next year, a 12-month goal, that's fine. So just clarify that for me.
I would like director, because I put in my notice recently. So I only have like 3 more weeks left. So I'm going full time with it, and this time it's happening. So my goal actually is on the higher side. I think it's to be director by the end of the year, because I really don't have any excuse for it. Like, me just not doing it and not being persistent and working my business. So I have a phenomenal husband that backs me up and motivates me, and he works the business as well. So there's no excuse. If we both can't do it, then we need to reevaluate a whole bunch of stuff if we can't hit this.
Good for you guys. That's exciting. I'm excited we get to meet tomorrow. It's for tomorrow, right? Okay.
No, Wednesday.
I'm sorry. I have a few meetups. I knew it was this week.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. Yay, I'm excited. Okay. Miss Liz, you already shared your goal earlier, was director, and to be more a solid director. And then what is your deadline? Is it the end of the year, or is it by this time that next year?
I would say by this time next year. I don't want to, I'm fearful of hitting director again during the holiday season.
Yes.
Because I've done that twice and I've lost my title twice. So my goal is to either end of this year or by summer of next year for sure.
So I'm just going to share a little bit of insight for you guys. The goal we all want to do is hit director actually in the summer, spring, because those are the lower months. And if you hit it in the slower months, you have the whole fall to continue to build, and that will make you a more solid director coming into fall.
Which is the 6 month period that you want to focus on.
Yes. And so even though don't make that not your goal, Monique, I don't want that to discourage
Yeah,
you,
no.
because there are plenty of directors that have made it in the fall and still continued on. So don't think that's not like, oh gosh, I don't want to do it. But it's just, since it's just ideally, it's more of like a certainty, because if you can make 10,000 in wholesale in low months, you definitely will make your 10,000 in the higher months, and you're just going to continue to grow. So, but never discourage yourself to when to hit your goal. I mean, this is still a great time to promote. Okay, and then Miss Cindy, your star consultant, when is your deadline again? Oh, Christmas, you said. Yes, December. Okay, all right. Now, who wants to talk about your gap of where you are right now opposed to your gap? Who would like to be that guinea pig for us to dissect?
Well, I will, to entertain it. I don't think I fully understand the question, though.
Okay, so you're a lead consultant right now.
Yes.
And you're basically authorizing for me to be able to go in the workstation and share the screen of showing people where you're at as far as how many people are on your team, and where your volume has been. Is that okay?
Oh, go for it. I have to tell you, it's not true. I have a huge gap.
Okay. No, and that's good.
But it's good for you to tell me where, like, maybe we could get like a plan of what I need to make sure to be exact opposite of what it's looking like now.
Yes, and that's what this goal is about. So I'm just pulling you up I'm pulling you before I screen share, so I'm not sharing anybody else's information. Hold on. Okay, now I'm screen sharing. I'm going to pull you back up. Okay, so here's Monique and her beautiful family. All right, so this is, the beauty of this is, as we're growing our teams, this is so awesome to be able to, this was just implemented maybe a year or two ago. I don't even remember, maybe Liz will remember when we started to get this, but this was a cool tool that was added that we weren't able to see. So we can break down each team member and say, okay, where is their average of what they bring in on a personal level, personal retail volume. And then you can go ahead and pull their team wholesale volume up and see where they kind of maintain. And this kind of helps you to find out where they're lacking per se, or where they need to, they can find more strengths in their business to work on. So let's go back to PRV. Let's start with
I have a team of one right now, so.
Yes.
So
Okay.
maybe we'll make it a yearly goal. I think a year is more feasible now once I.
Hey, but here's the thing. I'm also gonna, just to give you some encouragement, I made director in 4 months. So
That's what I was gonna say. I know you rocked it, so.
Yeah, so it's very possible. And so, and the thing is they didn't have all these kind of action plans and stuff like that when I did. I was just out there doing what I didn't know. I was just having fun and just sharing, recruiting, and it just happened. But I didn't have to really be able to break down what I needed to do. So I can't even imagine where I would have been if I had all this type of stuff. So that's the encouraging part of this. So, all right. So yeah, you have one person on your team currently. So definitely you have the ability to continue to maintain your title. Now, on PRV level, let's start with 2017 is the purple. So as far as the majority, if you look, on average has been, she's put in her 500, give or take. But basically, if you averaged all these PRV months out, she averages a $500 PRV. So she has her minimum qualification. Now we're going to go to the volume. So we would just pull up the team wholesale volume. Now remember, these two numbers right here are exactly the same thing, the same number, until you're a director and you have a director underneath you. Because then that person's volume breaks off into their own team, and then it's just your group number. And then you have your own team volume. So all the directors underneath me have their own team numbers, and then anybody that is under me as a direct director, there's no other directors above them, is my team. And then everybody else lands under my group wholesale volume. Does that all make sense to everybody so far?
Yes.
Okay. So we're just going to click with team. And so last year, because there's just more months to look at, on average, let's see if we go through. Let's even actually do it, break this down even more clear. I'm going to put let's just average this out. Okay, so $8.49, or if anybody wants to do this to make this faster, because I have to click off every time. So $7.45.
I could do it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, if you want, or I'll tell you the numbers and you could just add them for me. So then we'll do an average. So starting in, we'll say February of last year. So $8.49 plus $7.45 plus $1,058, $8.51.
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Oh.
It's okay.
Oh, my calculator just broke on me.
Oh, goodness, how funny. Okay,
No.
so we were at $8.49, and then we went to $7.45, and then we went to, I think, $1,058. $8.51. $3.55. Almost there. $5.65. So, and then I'm going to share with you guys something to look at as well that I want you guys to be able to pay attention to. We just did $5.65. We'll do $9.06.
I could take it from I found my other one.
Okay, 3 plus 3. Okay, so we're at 5,329 plus the 379 plus 401 plus 373 and then plus 277, and then divide that by 10 months because we started, or no, 11 months because we started in February.
$67.59.
Okay,
No.
so
I'm sorry. $675.90.
okay, so as of right now, your team volume isn't high enough to maintain a lead consultant title. So what that means is your team member isn't doing much volume to help you out, even if you're doing your part. So as a leader of your own organization, which each of you all are, the second you sponsor a person, you are the leader of that organization that you're focusing on growing, right? So with that being said, we must be the ones doing the best we can. And I know this is your focus moving forward, Monique, so I'm not trying to say that you're not. But that's something that we all have to be focusing on, of being the bigger seller. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, now I can. I couldn't for a second, but I can now.
Okay, so you as the leader of your organization should and usually are the ones that are pulling off the most PRV. The average leader of a business, of an organization in this specific company and just direct sales in itself, the $2,000 is what each leader in an organization should be goaling yourself to. The point of that is because if you're selling $2,000, you are in front of between 25 to 40 people every month, talking to them about hosting and talking to them about joining. And statistically, if you are talking to 25 to 40 people a month, 1 to 2 people are going to be joining if you make sure you're talking to each and every one of them about joining, because the person that you choose not to give that opportunity and talk to them about it is the person that may very well have been the person that would have joined. So we have to commit to ourselves of making sure everybody knows they have 3 options with your business, not just to buy the product. They can host it and get it for free and half off, as well as they can do all 3 or both, but also get paid off of the commission of the sales that they're making. So, and their own purchases. So when you give them 3 options, it's more likely for them to do one, if not 2 of the 3, meaning they may end up hosting and still buying, obviously they're buying the products. So, because if you give them one option, you're giving yourself a 50-50 chance of them to either not buy and do business with you at all, or to just buy the product. Now, there's been a theory, and I'm going to get it back into her statistics in a second, but there's been a theory about, whether you should lead with join, host, and buy. I personally, I'm going to tell you, be very transparent, that I've been torn for that theory back and forth throughout the years that I've been a consultant, because when you lead with join, it does give more of a confidence level on to the person that you really do believe in this business, and that you are that confident that they would want to join the business. But then on another level, statistically, most people aren't going to join. So you want to sell them, per se, on the product opportunity first, so they can actually learn the product and understand it. But then on the other hand, again, back and forth, not everybody has to love the product in order to be successful in this business. And I love that Liz is on this call, because her and I throughout the years have been we've talked several times that she likes the product. And she'll tell you this right now, she's not in love with the Scentsy product. Am I right, Liz? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, but she believes in the products enough, and what her heart is, and her true belief is the company, the compensation plan, the way the company works. She trusts in the company, and she understands that people do love the product. But to be successful in this business, you don't have to be 100% falling in love head over heels with the product. It helps. Believe it helps if you love the product, but it's not a necessity. If that's because you will lose the opportunity to sponsor and bring people into a wonderful business opportunity by thinking that the person has to love the product 100%. I'm going to say that right now. So that opens up a whole other world of business partners to you. If that's what you think is they have to love the product, head over heels. Becca Levi, our upline superstar director, cannot use scents. Just so you guys know, she is a millionaire in a scent business, a fragrance business, but she can't use Scentsy because she's allergic to fragrances. So that's a perfect example. If you have a business mind, you understand the compensation plan, you understand the company and the products and what they how well they sell to, and what a need to a higher percentage of the people out there, you could still be very, very, very successful without being 100% head over heels of the products. Okay. With that being said, we see that you need volume in order to help you maintain your lead consultant numbers. Therefore, obviously, to get to and maintain $10,000 in wholesale, obviously, it shows that you definitely need more team members to even help you maintain the lead consultant level. The reason why is because when one person is working, and you can even see this, I'm going to go back to her PRV level, and I'm glad you're being so vulnerable right now, Monique, because it's really going to help a lot of people, and I just love that, and yourself. So as if I was going to rely, let's just use this, me as her sponsor, that, Monique sells $1,000 this month, and I'm going to rely on that volume for my numbers, I would be very disappointed when she sold only $337 the next month, right? That's going to make a big difference in my wholesale volume for my team. So if I didn't have somebody else that is selling this amount, or a couple other people to add up to this number, to basically replace that volume that she had the month before, I would never be able to maintain those numbers, right? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Hence why we have to have and build wide with frontline. Because here's the thing, this business in essence is a when I want to do it, if I want to do it, month by month type of business, until you make that commitment and decision that you want this to be a career and an income, which nothing that's consistent as far as coming in, you can't expect it to be consistent as you putting out, right? But the higher percentage, like honestly, like 97% of your organization is going to be this month I'm working my business. This month I'm collecting orders, but this isn't my focus. And that's okay. That's absolutely 100%. We need people like that because they're achieving the goals as long as they're achieving the goals they're looking for that month. And then if they're not, then we're there to say, okay, where was the gap? That makes, so say this month happened, but this month she fully intended to do this, but this happened. So if she was upset with that result in a way that it hurt her financially or mentally or emotionally or whatever, Monique would come to me and say, Jess, okay, so I sold $1,000 last month and I only sold 300, a little closer to 400 this month. Where was I lacking in this area? And then her and I would be able to say, all right, what actions, what were you doing? Were you doing parties? How many people were you in front of that month? How much time did you actually intentionally put towards your business that month? And did you actually set a goal? And then we'd be able to figure out why this month was so drastically different from this month, if that makes sense. But I will tell you, the majority of your consultants aren't even going to care that there's a gap right there. That it's just, whoop, yay, I sold $1,000, awesome. And then this month it's, whoop, oh well, I guess I didn't have that good of a month. But it's because this type of result isn't with a full intention, if that makes sense. For the most part, okay? For the most part, people are making a result like this because they're having fun. They probably have a lot of people that love Scentsy, and they all may have just needed to order that month. But it wasn't your consultant sitting down saying, this is what I want to achieve this month. This is how I'm going to do it. This is when I'm going to do it in my schedule this month. Does that make sense? Now, for the most part, I'm going to ask you directly, Monique, is there any month that you can specifically remember that you made a significant goal as far as PRV, and you made that goal in the beginning and you broke it down and you actually achieved that specific number?
No.
Okay. So that point being, it said that is
my issue. And that's what I was talking with Cindy. I was like, with me being in dental and consulting and everything, I have these specific goals for these doctors, and I'm like, okay, 15,000 left. Let's do it. We can do it. This is what we need to do. And every day I'll come home listening to the AHA on Facebook and listening to one of the girls talk. And I'm like, I do it so broken down and detailed for these people. And I make sure that they do it, that it comes to me. And, Adam's like, what are you doing? Why can you not do it for yourself? And that's kind of where, I need to get my head out of my behind.
No, but you know what? That's amazing that you come to that realization, because so many consultants don't realize how qualified they are to do what they need to do to achieve their goals in Scentsy. But it's because, one, they don't have somebody telling them that they have to do it. And second, it's because they do have that comfort of they have that day job that's filling in the financial, that if they don't do it, it's okay. Does that make sense? But I will tell you, when you get to a point that you're like, well, crap, if I don't work, I don't get that paycheck, this discipline develops, and you start to say, well, if I'm going to make thousands of dollars for this doctor, why don't I do exactly what I do for them, put it into my business, and who's it going to benefit? Nobody but myself, which is awesome. So I'm going to tell you, just so you know, and we're going to move forward, one of the most successful superstar directors in the company, besides Becca, is Jen Audette, and she was a dental hygienist.
Yeah.
And so she implemented all of her organizational skills, her management skills, all the things, the goals, the sales, everything that they had to do in the dental office for 23 years, and implemented that and created the most successful organization in Scentsy, one of them. So that's awesome that you see that, Monique. I'm gonna literally toot your horn right now for that. So anyway, so do you guys see that right now there's a gap within the current title that she has? And so where her initial goal is, and her and I are going to go more into detail on this Wednesday on a one-on-one, which is why I want you guys to schedule one-on-ones with me, because we would be on all day if we were dissecting it. But basically, her initial small bite goal would be to start sponsoring more people to build her wider. So when this person isn't working, even though they worked this month, they take off the next month. This person is, which is supplementing, and hopefully 2 other people are working that's going to not only make her volume of lead, but also can hopefully push her closer to that next goal and then continue to grow. And the cool thing is if we're teaching our frontline to do these things that we're doing, they're going to start teaching their frontline, and that's how everything spreads. And then you can go from 1,000 wholesale volume in 1 month with 1 person on your team to them sponsoring 2 people and you sponsoring maybe 1 or 2 to $5,000 in wholesale in another month, if that makes sense. It can really spread like wildfire that fast if we're intentionally setting the goals and then teaching them to our front line. So everything you guys learn from me, it's vital to be doing these type of sane breakdowns with your team members. Whether you completely understand them or not, whatever you receive, you want to be sharing them what you're doing, because then they're going to take on at least more of a concept of building their business than if they're just kind of I don't know, you know what I mean? Because they're definitely not going to be taking any actions then. So $2,000 in wholesale, and in PRV should be the goal, which is the average of 4 parties a month, which is home party, which means home parties just generally have more, opportunity to sell and to educate and book more parties. And then some random, 1 or 2 basket parties or an event or something a month. Again, which equals into, on average, statistically, 1 or 2 people coming into your business. I can preach that to my core because I'm telling you guys, I lived that for the first 2.5 solid years of my business. I sold no less than $2,000 and I averaged 2 to 3 new people a month. And it was just because of my goaling of $2,000 a month, and that's it. And I was sharing with every single person the opportunity. As my business grew, my focus switched somewhere else, which was to coach you guys, which was to I'm not going to lie, I didn't want to do home parties anymore as much because they are work. I'm not going to lie. I didn't want to package as many orders. So that's the beauty to look forward to, is that if you bust your butt now, finding new people, building your clientele, building your team, there's a point in your business that you do get to slow down on the busy work and really just hone in on focusing on building leaders, which is awesome, and helping them achieve their goals. Okay, so the gap between director, since she has 1 front line, okay, so Monique, do you see where your gap is right there as far as your qualification as a director?
Yes.
Which would that be?
I need more people.
Okay, and how many do you think on average do you think that you would need to, and there is an average number, I'm going to just see
3 to 4 a month, not 10.
Yeah, that'd be great. Even averaging 1 to 2 and then teaching your team to bring on 1 to 2 would average out to 3 to 4 new people coming in your organization. Absolutely, exactly what I was looking for. And then the qualification to promote to director is 3 frontline, but you can see how if you only had 3, right? If 1's not working, that brings you down to 2 people, right? And then you're not qualifying. You can have $10,000 in wholesale. You can have your 500, but if you don't have that 3rd person frontline, you're not going to promote to director, right? So it's important to build wide. And then you don't feel like you're so that person of are you putting orders in? And you feel like you don't want to be pressuring people to do something they don't want to do, right? Because it's really their business. So that's the way you can be that sponsor that really cares about what they want. I'm being transparent here. have I ever called you up I'm your sponsor saying, Monique, are you doing anything this month? Why aren't you putting orders in? Or what's your goal? Or, why aren't you putting 500 in? Have I ever done that to you?
No.
Okay, and the reason behind that is because I'm never going to put any of my frontline in that position of making their goals or whatever their goals or not goals are that month to affect my position and what I need to achieve as far as my own financial commitments that I've created. So I'm always going to be looking for new people to basically bring on. And one, I'm helping that new person create income, but I'm also creating new volume for myself. So when somebody else isn't working, they don't have to feel pressured and I don't have to feel like stressed to even have to think about pressuring them to do something they don't want to do that month. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And it's just a formula. It's a formula of just talking to people and making your, this is the only business I honestly can say that mixing business with pleasure is the best thing to do in it, because Scentsy, if you make it your life and make it harmonize with everything you do, if you're going out to dinner, you're thinking about who I can give the opportunity to, who I can, compliment today or whatever. You're still doing the things you need to do with your family, but you're also looking for opportunity. And it's as simple as that. All right. So right now, to recap, the gap between where Monique is right now, which is a lead consultant, is to raise her volume by adding more frontline, to maintain her lead title, but to get to the director number, she would have to, I would suggest to get to at least a minimum 14 of frontline by the end of this month. I mean, no, not the end of this month, this end of this year. Sorry, you're like, what? Hey, it happens, those online recruiting people. But I will tell you, they don't maintain. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. I'm going to be very, very transparent. Yes, recruiting online is a thing and it is possible, but it's very hard to maintain those people and retain those people because the relationships aren't there, okay? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but you do have to create a very specific skill to be able to do that and create those relationships. So on average, to maintain a director title, I'm going to tell you guys this right now, to write this down. You want to have a minimum of about 40 team members in your downline and about 14 frontline. And that is the number statistically, give or take, that with that number in your downline and frontline, you'd be able to maintain a $10,000 wholesale volume even in the low months. Okay?
How many people do you have under you, Jess, altogether?
Oh, back and forth. Right now I have, am I screen sharing still? Shoot. Show that. Okay, right now my team is 212, my group is 289. And we kind of fluctuate between back and forth every month, back and forth a little over 300. The highest I've ever had is 500. But that just shows you that people come and go constantly. You know what I mean? Right. If you can maintain a really good, solid amount of people, and even a slow growth with good, solid people, amazing things happen. It's really quality over quantity, you guys. Okay. Just statistically, it shows that if you have about 40 people in your downline and about 14 frontline, you have well over the amount of people that you need to be active, and you have well enough people that are working to get that $10,000 wholesale, because you still have in 40 people that aren't putting any money in that month. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, okay. Thank you for being so vulnerable and open, transparent. I really appreciate that. I'm sure it really helped people that have the visual, that need that visual to be able to see where that is. So, with that being a demonstration, can everybody else, by a show of hands, kind of tell me if you understand where your gap is as far as where you are now opposed to where you need to be in your goal? Okay, so Cindy's good. Kara? Yes? Okay, thumbs up. And Liz, you're off, so I'm going to unmute you. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. 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 All right. Where are we on time? Okay. All right. So I know, excuse me, we really only have about 15 more minutes. So what I'm going to do is, let me just go through my notes here and make sure there isn't anything that I didn't mention before I move on to the final area. Sorry, this in Vegas, it's like so windy and gross. My allergies are like killing me.
Is everybody in Vegas? No.
Not Kira.
Where's
Yeah.
Kara?
Yeah. Where are you, Kira? I can't off the top of my head remember.
Alamogordo.
Yay! Alamogordo. I can't believe I forgot that, Kira.
I'm Tularosa, but yeah.
You're what?
Technically, we moved to Tularosa.
Oh, okay. I live there. So I started my business there, you guys. That's why I went, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that.
We're a tiny little military town, so that Jessie started it here and found enough people to keep her going.
Yeah. Isn't
And
that
into
amazing?
director in 4 months makes it that much more epic.
Yeah. Thank you. I think it's
Yeah.
such an amazing story. It's so true.
Hey, real quick, I do have a question. So we were saying 40 active downline or frontline is what you would want for directors' numbers, right? Or whose numbers were you saying?
40 would be like the average team number, and then 14 frontline.
Okay, so how many front lines should we be shooting for to be star consultants?
For a star consultant, I would say a minimum of like 6.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, we're at the same page then.
Yay. Okay. And then as far as your team, I would definitely be at least 20. Try to be at least 20 so you can maintain those star numbers, give or take. And even with 20, you can definitely find yourself a couple months at certain months making your superstar consultant numbers, but at least you're always maintaining with that amount. Again, this is give or take. This isn't law, but this is statistically what the averages are and what we see.
We should be able to comfortably be star consultants with 6 and 20.
Yes. So it's to give you a visual and a goal to kind of focus towards. And people have made it with less. I'm not going to lie. I have people that made director with 5 active consultants, period, on their team. They had like 14 total, and only 5 did anything that month. So, and they still promoted but it was in the fall. So that's that's when we say they prematurely promoted because of the month,
It wasn't a solid like we're trying to get to with being star consultants. Now, the other thing, you guys were just talking and you said that, you're not always bugging your downline. Now, is there anything I could say to this girl, the one who, sometimes she's like, oh, I just need to get it together. I'm totally going to do it today. And then later that day, she's like, I don't know what to do. I just found out I'm pregnant. And I'm like, you just need to make a party and share it with people. That's all I tell her to do. Is there anything else I can maybe motivate her with? I'm starting to lose a little hope on her.
Okay, so, I think we've all have those people, and sometimes we just have to be very, I heard something recently, it was so true to me, is that we sometimes give the brutal truth, even if we're not going to be the person, we're going to be the bad guy, they're not going to like what they have to hear. That is going to, in the long run, show them that we truly do want their growth and we really care. If we're just giving them what they want to get, what they want to hear, and we're just saying, oh, yeah, you're right, you got a lot on your plate, and just giving up, we're not helping them. And it's about us.
She's been to my house. She knows that I'm like insanely busy all the time. So it's not like she's going to come to me and be like, oh, I just don't have the time. Now she's telling me that she doesn't feel good. And that's fine. You don't have to feel good. When I signed up, I was 3 months pregnant with my child. I understand what it's like, but I'm not looking for excuses. I just want to know if you needed, if I can help you at all, or if I should stop asking her.
Okay, no.
Maybe that's what I should tell her. Do you want me to stop bothering you?
No, so here's the thing. By sharing the fact that you really want to encourage you, if I'm not asking you, I'm not trying to bug you. I'm just trying to make sure that I understand what you need from me and what you're looking to do, okay? Then even asking her the question, can I be real with you? And if she gives you that permission to be real, if she says yes, you can be real. You can say, look, I was pregnant 3 months, know exactly what you feel like being sick. This is the things that I did. And share with her the actions you took while you were feeling sick, despite all those things. And then in the end, she's going to have the choice to make those actions and try to duplicate what you've proven and led by example, or she has the choice to go the other way and continue to make excuses. But,
yeah, and I mean, it is, we have the simplest business.
Yeah, thank you.
You just ask people. You just ask people if they like it, if they want some, and they do. So
yeah, so she'll tell you if this is something that if she wants you to be honest with her. Once she gives you that permission, be very honest, whether you think she's going to like you or not. Because here's the thing, we will lose friends along the way, or fans, if they're not even friends, if they're just team members that came to you out of nowhere. You may not be their friend for a while because you're the one being the bearer of the truth, right? But in the end, if they truly want to grow and they truly want to make a difference and see, results, they're going to end up realizing all you're doing is truly trying to help them grow. And the people that do want to will come back to you and thank you for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, she is a real person. I think, she's very down to earth. She's very, and I mean, she knows that she's just not doing anything.
Yeah. Okay. So she's at least not denying it. That's good.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I'm failing. I feel like a failure. And I was like, you're not a failure. Just make your party.
Actions. Yeah. You can't get new results with the same actions. Doing the same.
Or none. I mean, you can't be like, oh, I signed up for Scentsy and I didn't make any money. Like you didn't make a party. Like, I don't know what you
Doesn't that suck? They can't just click join and then money just starts being deposited into their account.
Yeah, I'm just curious why that didn't happen with me.
Right? Yeah. So and what needs to happen. So just lead by example by showing her the things and that's the cool thing is you out of all people know exactly what she's going through. So she can't give that excuse of you don't know how I feel, because you could say I exactly know how you feel, and this is what I did despite that. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm also I'm a super motivated person, but I'll tell her that too. I'll just be like, I'm insanely motivated. I was like, hey, we're pregnant. Let's start a ranch, and I'm gonna sell Scentsy. And, she's more like, oh, we have 2 dogs and like 6 teenage kids. I'm like, you have teenagers? They can do anything. Like you can just sit on your butt and do your work.
Yes. Personal assistants, you don't have to pay them.
Right. And she's an older lady, so I think she just had a miscarriage like 6 months ago. So it's not just that she's going to be having a child. I mean, I'm sure she's worried about all kinds of things. But if anything, this could get her mind off of it and give her family some extra money, because I know that they need it.
Absolutely. And here's the thing.
Who doesn't?
A lot of people don't know that in this company, as a director and above, there's an opportunity for scholarship programs. She's having a new child.
Yeah.
There's a need for this future child to have ability to go to college. And, if you work your butt off now, here's an example. Lauren, obviously. So Lauren, she built her business before she started her family, and she's got a solid business that works for her. And now she's able to just literally enjoy her pregnancy, and as she grows her family and has more kids, she's going to have this business that's just rolling, and she already does, that she can just continue to let the merry-go-round just wheel around herself and just kind of spin it as the momentum starts to slow and just kind of push a little bit more. But that's the thing, is I think most people aren't thinking about who can get impacted off of their hard work. If we think about, if I do this now, no matter how hard it hurts and how much it challenges me, it's going to impact these people later. Like, I know Cindy's motivation is they are huge on helping to sponsor people, children in need. And that's what motivates her and her husband. And so when she gets home from a 12-hour day of work and she still has to work, her Scentsy business, what motivates her is saying, this action now, no matter how hard tired I am right now, this is going to help these children. And I'm going to be able to add more people onto the people I get to donate and help in the future, as well as it's going to free her up to not be working this full-time job anymore. So she can dedicate all her time to her Scentsy business, which is going to help her contribute more to the world, basically. So using personal testimony of other people as well as yours, to relate, saying, I understand, but also asking the person to separate their own themselves away from the result, and saying the results are going to impact not just you, but give them specifics of this is going to impact the future of the baby that hasn't even been born, of the actions you take now. And sometimes we have to verbally paint that picture in their brain in order for them to actually say, oh, maybe I should actually, take some type of, foot forward, or
put in effort. And thank you for suggesting I ask her if I could be honest, because basically that was what I was asking you to tell me, is how do I approach this to her, to be like, hey dude, you're doing nothing. So so yeah, I just need to say, hey, can I be honest with you, and where you're at and where we're at with being business partners.
Absolutely. I would actually even start saying, has your goal changed since you started? And let her answer that. And if it hasn't, then say, okay, so let me be honest with you. That goal is not going to be accomplished unless you're taking action, and go from there. So, okay, we've got a few more minutes, and thank you for bringing that up, because I'm sure that's helpful to a lot of people to hear that, and the struggle, and that everybody needs recommendations. Everybody gets stumped with how to approach your team member that, tells you they want one thing, and then they're not doing anything to put themselves towards that goal. So it's definitely that's one of the struggles of being a sponsor, is trying to figure out how to communicate properly without seeming like it's about you, and and also making them feel like you're being their boss or whatever, which we're not. So okay, let's see. All right, so just to close things up, I'd like to spend just like a minute of, just by everything we talked about today, is anybody able to kind of give a couple steps of actions that you feel you'll be taking that that you feel maybe pushing you forward in that direction? Like, just off the top of your head, now that I know what my goal is, and some of the things that I've shared as far as sales goals, the statistics of how many people should be coming into your business if you are goaling yourself that way, and talking to everybody about the business opportunity, as well as we discussed an ideal goal as far as people that we need on our teams in order to maintain. What type of actions, even if you're repeating what you've heard, do you feel you'll be implementing into your business? Does anybody want to share?
I just got to get the word out more. Like, everyone I come across, pretty much.
What type of ideas? Can you share with us some examples of how you're going to do that?
Just figure out how to implement it. Just of, even like if they want to bring in extra income, or, people say, oh, we need to find a babysitter because I need to go get a part-time job. Then just kind of try to, because I'm a part of a mommy group, and they're always like, oh, well, I've got to get a sitter. I've got to go back to work now. Then, husband lost a job, whatever it is, but try to implement it in any situation. Try to flip it of how Scentsy could benefit their lifestyle.
Absolutely. That's part of keeping our ears open and really listening to those needs, because that's part of the reason why people struggle with sponsoring, is because they're not listening and they're not looking for those specific words or needs that people are saying, and they don't even realize that they're looking for answers, and we have those answers for them, but we just have to be listening and being willing to give at least provide. I'm not saying we're going to answer everybody's prayers, but we're giving an opportunity that it may or may not. And if people are really looking to change, they're willing to try, and that's all any of us can do, is to try it and see what happens, and put our efforts through and see what happens. But this business is simple. It is a proven strategy. It's a formula that is a slam dunk business if you learn it and you run it consistently. But the problem is most people aren't willing to stick it out, do it consistently, and like a ritual, in their lifestyle. And that's the difference between somebody that's bringing in income with Scentsy and somebody that is bringing in part-time, income here and there. You have to decide, the cool thing about the business is that there's always going to be flexibility, no matter how much commitment you have and responsibility in the business, how high you go up. Obviously, I have meetings I have to conduct. I have, all kinds of things, my own personal business I have to run. So I have a full-time business plus a part-time business. But in the end, I have as much freedom as I need. And that is the ultimate goal, is for us to have the freedom to live our lives the way we choose. And when something comes up, we have the choice to say, yeah. Oh, here's an example, you guys. I get to gloat. You guys see me on Facebook all the time. My nephew just starred in a movie with a big actor. Okay. And it just got nominated to be in a film festival. Well, he just came yesterday and says, Auntie, can you come to the end of the month for a couple days so you can come to this film festival with me? I didn't even have to think whether I can go. Everybody else that was invited had to go, well, I got to see if I can get my time off work. I got to see if I can get down there, if I can afford the gas, if I can do this. And, oh, I don't know. Me, I didn't even have to think. And that's because of the hard work I've put into my business, that now I know I have the freedom and I know I have the finances. And that's such an amazing, I got emotional being able to respond last night, you guys. Being able to say without a thought, yes, I'll be there for you in this amazing life experience for you that I'm very proud of. But not everybody gets to do that because they don't give themselves enough time to let this business do it for them, to build that freedom. So, but in the end, there's still responsibility. I still have to commit to doing certain things, but I can be flexible. If I have to do something, I can still do it from California, right? Which is awesome. Cindy, did you want to share?
We're doing that event in Logandale. So what I'm going to do now is, like, this time I'm going to spend more time with their draw slips, and when they check off that they're interested in the party, or just or maybe a consultant, spend more time with them, more what's that word I'm looking for, but just pay more attention, I guess. Just be absolute, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you shared that. And that has a level of vulnerability there, because I think when we've been doing events a lot and we realize we could have been more focused on a certain area, it's kind of like, oh man, how much opportunity have I lost? But the beauty is that this business, you could always revamp and you could always start over. And as long as you're learning from it, endless opportunity. Because I was there, and I still sometimes, I'm not going to lie, there's always an opportunity of me saying, man, if I would have just scheduled the time before I did the event to sit down and focus on these slips, because we always think, oh, I'll make the time. But instead saying my event's on the 10th, let's just say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule within 72 hours, block off time in my calendar. And that is what I'm focusing on, is going through everybody that said they want to host, everybody that said they want to join, and dedicate that time, because there's a specific vulnerable time that when people are interested. If we are out of that time frame, they start to tell themselves all the reasons why they don't want to host, why they're too busy to join, and they start to talk themselves out of it. So when we get them in that prime time, that they're still fresh, they still remember talking to you, they still remember being excited about it. It's like a lottery ticket, like Becca says. And so, and then being intentional when you're looking at them and they're right in front of your face, like you said, if they mark off that they want to host or they want to join, taking that extra second and say, I've noticed that you mark this off, and then asking more questions to get to know them more and try to get more connection as much as possible while they're right in front of you. But that's the beauty, is that we always can be doing better. I'm not going to lie. I've been doing everything for years, but I always could do better. And as long as we recognize it, that's the key, So I'm so glad you shared that, because you've done so well. I mean, that's your thing. I always call her the events queen. And so, to know that she's done as well as she is now, and then knowing that, hey, I can even zero in more on to be more laser focused in this area. I can't even imagine where my business is going to go once I really focus on that area. Anybody else? Okay. So, this is something that we should do every single month, you guys. Measuring your progress for your action plan. You know, today is this date. This is where I'm at. This is where my thought process is. But the interesting part of this business is we are always learning. We're always growing. We're always getting on training calls and getting new ideas. So it's making us transform that goal into something different and more exciting or whatever. And it makes us go, wow, I can jump with this new idea. I can go from this timeline to I feel that if I implement this may jump me a little bit sooner to my goal. And then that's why we do want to reevaluate where we are at each month, because you may have been lacking one little tool that you just can't put your finger on it of how to get a little bit further in that area, but you've learned this skill from this one training call you've heard that you're like, oh, there it is. That's what I've been looking for, you know, and now you can actually feel confident to move forward. So that's what's, we don't want to just stick with, okay, my deadline is December, because if in that time frame, we become different people, we become better business owners, we learn more, and we become more confident, which can push us further into, a bigger and better goal, So, any questions up until this point? Okay. Last but not least, I would love for all of you, this is not like an assignment, I'm just asking that if you'd like to share, I'd love for you to create a mission statement, or just a paragraph, write a paragraph of this is where I am today, and this is where my gap is, and these are the plans that I feel that I'm going to implement that is going to get me to where the goal my SMART goal. And so yeah, where am I in the middle? What do I feel I need to do in order to get there? And again, it may just recap everything we just talked about. It may have just laid it out like we did for Monique, to an extent. But just sometimes we need to write it down. Even though in our brains we know what needs to happen, we need to see it on paper. Say, I need to, this is an example, to reach director, I need to continue to reach 500 PRV monthly. Make sure I have 3 active frontline team members monthly. Add at least 500 wholesale volume every month. Add at least 8,500, GWV, wherever you are in your business. That's an example. I'll give you an example for, let's just say for Monique, she's a lead consultant. I'm a lead consultant. I have one current team member. I need to, that's where I am today. I have X amount of PRV every single month, between 500 to 750 or whatever. And I need to, and I typically bring in the average of 600 and something, she said, in wholesale volume. But my to reach my director, these are the things I need to do. So you could just write them down, just like a list, like Cindy likes to do, which is very powerful. And then you have that visual map that reminds you every month. What I did and still do to this day, every single month on the 1st, I write down PRV 2000, NT for new team member, 1 to 2, wholesale volume, I write my goal. I have a goal for GWV. So GWV, I have a promotion goal within my team. I would like to promote this many certifieds. I'd like to promote this many leads, whatever. And then what am I going to do that? So that's when, once we hit those goals, what do I need to do that? And that's when I go to the drawing board. Where are my certified people? I'm going to be completely transparent, you guys. This past year, those actions I haven't done, because life happens. But I will tell you, those are the things I did to get me to where I am to this point, up to Superstar Director. Is I every month looked at every single certified, every single lead, every single, star. And I feel bad that I had a lot more growth in my team when I was doing that. But I don't feel bad at the same time, because I've always made myself available. If people needed me, they knew they can come to me, and I would be happy to dissect their stuff. But so that's what I'm sharing this with you, because there's going to be a time in your business that you may not be able to be as laser focused with every single detail and goal and break it down every month. And it's okay. It's okay, because if you make yourself available as a leader, the people that need it and want it will come to you. Okay. So thank you all for showing up. I really appreciate it. And thank you for hanging out an extra 20 minutes before I even got here. That means a lot to me. And I value your time. I don't want you to think I don't value your time. I want you guys all to, don't just put these thoughts and put them aside. Look at them again, because it's not going to sink in unless we're, really, really absorbing it. And then most of you, everybody that's on here are going to reunion. So we're going to be doing this again. And then I'm really excited to see where you guys are all going to be from today to reunion, implementing and really thinking this way. And it's going to be exciting to see like how close you are to how much further you are. And who knows, some of you may be there already, and you're going to be just revamping everything to another level. So anything else, guys, before we close it up? No? Was this worth it? You guys happy you came on? Or
Yes, thank you.
No, you guys are going to be on and be like, yeah, Jess, this was a waste of my friggin' time. Because I know you all are too nice of people. But I hope you do. You're glad you came. But anyways, I love you all. You guys are all amazing, and you are what make me love what I do, just so you guys know, and continue to inspire me, because I've achieved so much that the only thing that truly, to be honest with you, inspires me is watching you guys achieve your goals now. Honestly, that's what feeds me. That's my fuel. So let's make it happen. All right. Bye, guys. Happy Sunday. Thank you for taking a Sunday with me. I appreciate it. Bye.